You can certainly account about it. It's usually like something that's really scary.
Yeah, this is not really scary.
Kuti is he was thoroughly terrified.
Kuti.
He was worried. It was running around inside of.
Jeez.
Okay. This is week 1, so we're gonna tiptoe into the icy water. So maybe like on week 3, we're just gonna like show up and just submerge. But we'll ease our way in there. I don't want anyone to feel displaced. What we're going to start with is we're all going to give you some clues, and you're gonna try and guess what we're talking about. So we're gonna describe something. If you didn't get to put yours together, you can do yours on Monday as well. And so this is just a prompt, just to get us talking. Before we leave tonight, we'll come up with, what I'd like us to do is like come up with an idea, execute the idea the very next class. And then we'll start class totally in Tlingit. And everybody should talk. So that's the challenge. Aadé, that's the way I'm going to challenge you, is to engage like that. And I think the more we do it, the easier it gets. Just to go into, I think an advanced Tlingit class should be, my goal is by the end of this year, it's just entirely in Tlingit. We don't even need English at all. Well, maybe just a little bit at the end, but we're going to get there. And so we have, I wasn't teaching last year, so then we got to just sort of get a little bit more on the same page with each other, comfortable, etc. And then every now and then we'll just check in and see. I just want us to talk about why won't people talk? And so, and we'll get there, because this is the group that's taking it very far. I'm very happy about that. So I'm not necessarily looking at you, but I'm sure for all of us, I remember going places, I'm like, I'll just be quiet then. Just watch everybody speak Tlingit every now and then, try to assemble something. And then we're also going to do some lessons and some other stuff, but it's more going to be like, what do you guys want to focus on? And then we'll go focus on that thing for a little while. So that's my preference on how to do an advanced Tlingit class. So what we'll do towards the end of the class, we'll say, well, what do you get? And we could do multiple things. Ideally, we'll spend an hour in Tlingit and a half hour doing a lesson. That's something I would like us to strive for. So just let me know what kinds of things are going to help you to keep talking. And some of those will be lessons, and some of them will be things that might be for us to try. Anybody got any thoughts or anything? We switch it over. Tlingit ʼatángi ne Aadé ch'áax'u. Maybe ch'áax'u. Okay. Tlingit ʼatángi gawu aya tl'kat yuhan. Ye awa a daat ch'áax'u daat. Daat ʼáax'u aya. Daat ʼáax'u nuk. Dasa watisaku a daat. Ye awa achtuwas. Wushu ch'áax'u daat. Iwe dayach. Yeah, kwal Cajun sentence wasa gachtisa sentence. Which kadushati ʼatángi. Hechasaku. Haskakwa wusadan. Echa Cajun aqa'a. ʼatánk a. Hatuwasaku. Ha'ide ki nach itu. Or just ha'in kainigi. Aqa awe kagachtu aqri in katunigi. Dasa datu qiyatani. Dachtesegu at. Tlingitani ka. Ye awe hatuwasaku. Kwasha itcha chakuta. gwell just hintag adi, gwell kayani, gwell chaguta category hatuasagu. Yeah, you did just Tlingit on ka dachtisego at. Yeah, awa yechwaji a kach yan tutushaat. Yeah, you did yeah, adusa tutuasagu shukwa ayi ch'áagu. Ah,
Tlingit ye Tlingit anikach ch'áax'u just Tlich Antarctica.
okay.
Isakuge.
Isakuksha.
Okay.
The kat ye chudziti Tlingit anika. Wasa yitu uchuhan.
Lake Lake Yakujige Shawat Awe Dech Kunach Yek Dige Hastu Walk
Yanaka?
Kunach Yek Dige Hastu Walk.
Ha. Sisk again.
Click.
They're going to ask me to say what I'm going to say.
Nusk.
You just
Talk as aha.
Okay, waka hasashech. Kanas art again.
Click.
Okay.
Dasa.
Digaditan. Digaditan.
Click. Click. Dakhun awa. Dakhun. Hastu kiji ich yachyati. Hastu kiji ich yachyati.
Ichwachi at kautliichi at awe. Dakwasakwa.
Gwas kanal talk at Wudikin.
Ḳáax'u ya. At yandakin ka. Ichwachi. Katli itchi kiji.
Hastu yeah. It yachyati.
Aji again.
Dasa.
Gandits aji again.
Click. 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 Just click. Disconnect. Cajun. Aya. Tledushu. Woosh the Cardin. Plus Woodzik King. Yada Chun. Kinda Chun. Hinda chun, sat nach, sheen nach, cook the push in.
Dragonfly.
Tlingit kenach.
Ah,
Yeah.
that's the way Kashashao.
Okay.
I was working on the same one and I was trying to find a word for hover because it
Oh.
can hover, but I couldn't
Oh.
find hover.
Oh, you can't. Yeah, I'm not sure. I was surprised. Oh, sorry. Tledu shu mushtaqadin.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, dragonfly. Big hair.
Yeah.
Isahu na'u when it comes around.
Kashashao.
Kashashao.
Yidlak awe. Okay, awe.
I thought for a minute that it was a flying squirrel.
Ah,
I-
Sakwa. You do a sock. Wait. Wow. Okay. Shidzi. Okay. Do eat sakwa ha ya idet.
Tlingit chenach hover.
Kwash ch'áax'u. Het gedin ch'áax'u. Glide. Ch'áax'u glide. Wait. Hover kwa. Just Jeff Lear do kusani awe chote. Wait. Akachwashi. ḳáax'u.
I'll go.
Kunshish.
Hayani tlef ucha.
Cut again.
They Dekat ani Dekat ye. Tlingit ani Anushi ani Washtan ani Dekat ani.
Everywhere.
Maybe not Antarctica. It says Antarctica.
Boots akwe.
Qanachasakhawe kayani. Chatlakata tasakha. We hoots. Kashucha age kayani.
You're frozen.
Oh.
Sige, Yanaka.
Kashucha age kayani. How? Sukhatut. Hetwasa. Guk.
Dusk. Ye gugenk.
Small.
Hintak adiaga.
Da aqua.
Sige, Yanaka.
Da aqua.
Fake.
Kuchaga.
Fake. You ready to buy another vowel? No.
Dachunia.
Dachun. Dachun. In ye nach ak. Ak. In ye nach ak.
Khataga.
Ak. In ye nach ak.
Nauk.
Oh.
Nasa?
Nauk.
Fake.
Akwe.
Nasa?
Saw.
Blake.
Oh. Shall aqua.
Sachaga.
Blake.
Daat.
5.
Ah.
We're never gonna. Jin. At nada kinch.
It flies too?
Blake. I have a bonus one too. I just,
Okay.
all right. I just do, yeah. Inyach ch'áagu ka you ashyech yech. Inyach ch'áagu ka you ashyech.
Hmm. Yendakin. At yendakin ka at yendakaga.
Ah.
Ah.
Swims and flies?
Gauch again. Play gauch kayani ucha. Kachanets again.
Rauch.
Like,
Or
At cowardly each at the
Kate Laddie again.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's a genki.
Cheat.
like,
Little bird.
I'll repeat the last one.
Ah.
Su yanaka. Inyach ch'áagu ka you al yech. Yech.
You are yech.
Ah.
Kitchiatica.
Like,
Hiniklechiga.
ah. Yake.
How? Litzi. Tachkonachu ke Johan. Gonna cheese. Wasa yishaguk. How? Atu itzakoha.
Qua.
Ah.
Au ḳáax'u at ḳáax'u.
Gulkanka.
Tuye yanaka.
Au ḳáax'u. Wait, Tlingit at ḳáax'u.
Trinket food.
Atlin atwatucha nuchqa. Just a cut that tucha. Chatiga. Oh, ċ'áagu.
Du adadzayi sagwatiach. Du adadadzi sagwatiach.
Oh.
Wait, dugu sagwatiach.
The skin.
Zisk again.
Like
Oh.
Sa.
Like,
Ah. Tsagwatiach heti adugu aksha. Okay. Tsuk.
the kutia yagu kachkan auk tak kuya u dukwani awa kuge sa tle ye aqua u du kutia gu kachkan auk tak kuya u dukwani
Tak again. Dukwani. Oh. Heshes out to
I think he froze, huh?
the atunach adutli atk. Kolkesh koste idat. Ah. What's a kakwaak? So ide kakwaha. Kolkashit. Kolkashit. Ha ide. Iti kwal kanaak. Akatsu kakwaak. Chakuta kanaak. Atu itsa kuwaha ya idat. Khatsayi achke.
Klage.
Ah. Khataya kakwaak. Khatsayi achke.
Ah,
Oh, okay. Okay. Shukwa ayi.
Rat.
Oh, well. Oh, good.
You just let's in. What?
Oh, how?
cut. Cut again. Okay. Kukwa ak. Play. Usk. Ka shakli gay.
It's pretty, huh?
Slash hoots. Ah, yeah. Yegu gank.
Small.
Again.
Fake.
Kutinega.
Flake.
Hashakleyaksha.
Nask. Nask. Sister cut talk. Kanach natage.
Ooh. Hichtaga.
Flake.
It's a gank. Shaklare. Tauchanach na teach.
Who's so
Kuna ye.
ah
Oh, yeah.
Yuck.
Sagun, we kuna ye a daat yuke watamin. Ja ye zigen go hastu jin. Ja no way. Haswu kha an haswu kha achowe haskutziti. Okay,
I didn't get a chance to say my last sentence, which was just kadli gots. It's striped.
oh yeah, okay, yeah, gonna cheese. We eight cussing get what kleshas aus go a dot. Kleshas kuste, yeah, just the ka awe kuna ye. Chippendale, kleshar kreati a dot. Okay, to cook the akake kachtin. What's like? Oh, okay.
Should I say that last sentence again? Ch'áagu ḳáax'u tak ḥáax'u dukwani. Ch'áax'u
Kutia.
Kutia Park. I had one on here.
Oh,
Kutia talk. Okay.
Bottom of it.
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Ch'áax'u talk. Yeah.
Oh, a talk.
A talk.
Kutia.
Eh.
Oh.
It's on the bottom of their kutia.
Okay, yeah, Kitchana ch'áagu. How?
That's kind of how.
Denruga.
Like.
Played hoots.
Okay.
Zuka.
Kiksadi ka blank wishtin hasku de u on kasaku aga.
Ooh. Tashkanach ushaga.
Frog?
Like.
Sagadi.
What's that?
Sagadi.
Yeah.
Okay. Just yagi away. Ye shadiin. Yuchachtan. Way kutia ada. Oh, yataka. The kawachak.
What? What's that?
Oh, yataka a kawachak. A kawachak away way kutia. A kawachak. I did say a kawachak. I did say actually yes. Juan Klein.
Daat. Hawachakwe. Raven pole with a devil's thumb on it. Katafkanukasha.
Tashkanach kusha. Okay. Shukach adik kiksa di gosh a shaki ke hawuti and wuch in. We unkashaku. Yeah, awa. Gun cheese. Wukeha. Wuke. Ya kuyitsige yuhan. Adu itzakua ha yedetko.
Again.
Ah.
Dod si chal. Dech dana ḳáax'u yach na teach. Dultóowu.
Do you in a cup?
Dana ḳáax'u yach na teach. Dultóowu.
Silver hair.
Achage.
Ah.
Chade takuta achtuasuku achitsu. Just yahigi. Wait atsu yeshia di in yuch achtan. Kunach yisak. Kunach o yuchsaku.
Try my last sentence and you tell me.
Okay, good as cheese.
Yatsinet gutni has akana adachawe lakat ya at Adi has to kudi dark has amdlisan.
Okay. Ah. Yeah, has to kuti new yachaga. What new yeah. Yes, the daat.
Well, Yatsinet kuts wugudi we sach akana they whistle.
Ah, yeah, well.
Adachawe lakat we sach ya at has to kudi dark has amdlisin.
Oh, okay. Kakudzi. Cheesh, okay, away. Okay. Shashaki has na teach. Just like this ḳáax'u a he who to satin de yach. Yeah. North Douglas de awa. Or to satin de yach he uti. Ach. Okay, gun cheesh. Adusatsu kakwaak. Yeah, well, we just click a dachte se go daat. Gwell tuchte tan. A ka cajin yu atánk yi ide kakwanik a daat. Ach to asagu kaya a gochan kananik nasa way. Cajin hasa kaushihit da. Gug ashke.
Da saya at kati adi ka kintak adi ya click.
So yeah, naka.
At guti adi ka kintak adi so aya.
Okay.
Agwat yahyati ḳáax'u.
Wahosa kuha telka kwaak. Has to eat de kakwa ha.
Nas. Dag wat kus dujiyati. Dag guwat kus dujiyati.
Hintak.
Ah.
Sometimes. Wanganines.
Kietiach. Okay, never mind.
Jagun. Yayanashun. Yayanashun.
Ja, ge hast du hitti.
That's that?
Ja, ge hast du hitti.
Right.
Mm.
Plat ataya kusiska.
Swasa.
Yeah.
Hasaqit. Gwash. So. Tsagedige. Like
Dutuwasigu ashkulyadi. Dutuwasigu ashkulyadi.
Kushta akwe.
Undana sawaye thought. Cheat wo. Okay. Tsukka.
Ādé,
Ah,
Ādé, Chwantlain. Like, Wakdana. Jin Kat Tauk Ye Yati. Gwal. Gwal, yeah. Jin Kat Tauk Ye Yati. Ādé. Tle dusha. Katlak. Kak. Ya wa. Ya wat. Ya wat. Sorry. Tle dusha. Okay. Tle dusha. Katlak. Kak. Kak. Ya wat. Nazk. Kusacha kwan ayachat.
Kusacha kwanage.
Tlatla. Yachiti. Yeah, yachiti.
Oh,
Similar. Like.
Huh?
Like. Good one. Jin kat ch'usi. Ach jiyeti.
Jin kad khus again.
Ach jiyeti. We sakshani kish. She gave me those words. Okay. Tlatk. Kahinik. Sakyeti. I don't know if that's right.
Huh. Kahin tak ye khatna teach. Or ye na teach. What ye na teach?
Ye na teach. Yeah.
Jin kat khus again. Kusacha kwan yach. That's good.
Okay. That's a
Yeah.
like hidi sak nuk his. Hidi sak nuk his. We shaksani kik.
Oh. Kukwahis. Oh. Nuk tu tsao again.
You can't. Yawadla.
Sheesh. Oh. Shakudzi.
Lechwa chin nuk tu sao.
Tu achin can anig dasawe.
Nuch. Nuch tutsau. Nuch tutsau. Tleit ch'áax'u dasawe ch'áagu.
Hermit crab, but it can be new
Oh,
tz'áagu, new tz'áagu.
Okay.
Huh?
there
Goodness.
you go. Goodness cheese.
Zukke, hatu sa di tuasagu ya idat ch'áagu kaya aku.
الخط
Kasagu at.
wait like just chukan awaha
Wasusaga.
ah
Okay. Dasatsu ha'in kananika da.
just naski خوشه که خوشه خت اوه واشتن آنیدخ کتسو شیادهین اوه دو قوت
Oh, yeah, okay. Yatatsu, Heshwatusku, Wanachsawe, Shia dehin ch'áagu, dultóowu owe has out denai.
الخوصة
Yata, ya shakshani, Kledihin ach inakawani. Yachat yaksaginki dachaya, ach tlach akli. Jakut ch'áagu, Kled chayatki. Was atachani has the nanuch. Wanachsawe tlechwatana. The tlaka tlechwasusawe wa. Ekashkalnika.
اوه
How? That's cheese, Johan. Sukka. Adisatsu. Kana khan katik dasawewa. Dasakhataya.
Take ye yagi ye sahegao ya sat ya gashich.
Suyanaka.
Dek astas usane tukayat ye at as da adle igi ch'áagu le u achanuch. Nas
Calsach again. Tanalsach again.
yeah way.
Hey. Jakut wasagu to achitsa. Dakuna gwalnaska.
Achun, let's see. Yan ashale ashahek we yakye. Kejin lech shakle ik yachyati.
Yak Good cheese. Kunaye ka kanatsak. Judechia utuach. Tsageti dachtehina we utuach. Techa awea koa. Kushta kawasus. Tigitkia. Dasatsach. Nuk tutsau.
Kashash chau.
Hashashchau. Good cheese. Ha.
Hinyeksehi.
Hinyik tlechi heawa. Yak
Dasa tz'ach.
Ach. Shashakike hasyati. What has to Yahai Achjiu?
Marmot.
Yeah, Panachach was a good.
That's a hermit crab.
Nuch.
That's a hermit.
Nuchtutsa.
Da ḳáax'u tlachas awasku kahini at daat. Nichka ati tlach den has awasku. Say the yacht. Tledihin at watua at sit iti qeig. Hu awich of two woos. Das away. Hakashe. Het kusi ayaha anikak. Shao. Yashi shade. Yak. Chaltakat that tlach awasku ata. Achitke koha. Chakut kubu. Suge. Itua gesiku kia aku. Ha. Yadu ach ai. Kleika. Kleedihin away. Yeich. Chuneich outleyech. Kleedihin away. Yeich. Chuneich outleyech. Dech a. Kef Aadé yeich qotaqini ye. Kef Aadé yeich qotaqini ye. Nask. Shlegau dain yuch atánk.
Tautayiti at aga.
Dachasakwa. Shlegau dain. Kleedihin away yeich chuneich outleyech. Kef Aadé yeich qotaqini ye. Kef nich kakhe qoti. Shlegau dain yuch atánk. Dachun. Llyat away a ch'áagu.
Tsatiyachke.
Tsatsi away. Llyat away to ch'áagu. Cajun.
In Kagache.
Lake. Kesh hini Aadé kukotaqin. Kuchtaqin. Kesh kuchtaqin. Hini. Hesh yek kuchtaqin. Just at the two duck ka. Chayuking.
Iqini.
Yeah, away. Uchach na teach katlate. Lady.
Two ways. Iqini. Iqini. Iqini is coastal.
Kachquake you do sock away, Evelyn Hodge. Kledehin aya. Chat aya our way. Ha. Yisai aya. Achjiwu. Iya deka kwasa. Chat aya. Chataka. Ha. Yake. Yisai yeka kwati. Tseqini. Yisukuke dasaway tseqini tlay qaqinach. Khatqa. Magpie. Talks a lot, says nothing. The away. Jeez.
I could try. Oh, shukanach. Shukanach. Kwawusi. Askutuk. Yeyati. Quat a khanuch kanasvat.
Wakan?
Quat a khanuch kanasvat. Du achchinuch.
Ah.
Late Yachyati.
Taukage.
Dasa?
Taukage gleidiacheti.
Tak.
Chakaway gleidiachnetich.
Tlet chwasa kut tak.
Tauk.
Oh, kag. Clack. Tlet kag. Tlet kut yonder kini at kudziti at kudziti at chsiti. Late Yachyati.
Taukage gleidiachnetich.
Clack. Oh, clack. Tlet clack.
Utan
Wanganins tlet late Yach ute.
sagwadiach gwalli.
Ah.
Tutan.
Wanganins sakwad Yachyati.
Ch'áagu ch'áax'u. Gwalli adugu.
Ah. Isikuge? Wasa duwasa.
Da
Da.
again.
Da away.
Yak
Da
eh.
away.
Wuk eh. Gunn's sheesh. Ja, ach sick aus satin. Da.
They're very cute.
At yahai o a kaushachit.
Hoo-hoo.
Ba yahai. Kunachawe. Just yeah. Gwash ye owe ye chwaji. Gwash we Kate. A kawa ak de khandi wugudi. We shachani at Aadé awe. Haska gwashid. Skunk yacheti. Khanak khanakawanik. Well skunk aya yekach tu sa. Our quatli douche.
Hey. Guatlier.
Okay. Uchaga. Gwash gled khayu ʼatángi ya na khaya. Shak kwatan hagau. Ukecha gulchish. I think I've been freezing off and on, so we'll try and go in. So anybody got any reflections, thoughts, questions? Basically what we're going to try to do is do the first hour in Tlingit with a prompt, some kind of game or activity or topic. And then we're going to switch to English, check in, make sure everybody's feeling all right, see if there's anything we can help with, and then probably move into a lesson after that. Anybody got any thoughts? Everybody okay?
I really liked that one because I missed the first class, but I was still able to participate by guessing, and so I thought that was a really good way to do it.
Yeah, we tried that in Carcross, and so we're doing a language camp, like a gathering, and we had this hockey bag, full of just local stuffed animals. And so when we probably had 6 or 7 just really great speakers there. And so we all divided into groups, and each group had like 1 or 2 different speakers in there. Then they all wrote 5 sentences. And what we tried to do was say, do the non-obvious ones first. So if it's tsagiti, you're not going to do the 2 big teeth. You'll save that one for later. And then we try to guess what it is. And that's a lot of fun because it shows that we know quite a bit about these animals and stuff. And we've got this prompt, we've got this idea, so it's not just talking, so it keeps us talking, and it also lets us know we're just trying to figure out what folks are describing. And descriptive language is so important because it gets us into what things look like, what they act like, and what we know about them. And, whether we eat them or not is also a big thing too. So, okay, gonna cheesh. And if it's
on the one I was saying, the spirit on the bottom or the figure on the bottom, is that a pretty good way? I mean, the way I look at it, Kutia, that's kind of what it is the spirit of those things.
Yeah, well, you could say, yeah, ayak kwahequ aya ayahayi akaushahidakach. Or Kalduchukit, there's different ways to say that part. Getting into talk is the bottom, but it's the bottom of either like a big canyon, or it's the bottom of a big container, or it's the bottom of a body of water. So that's only, so like, those are some things we probably have to feel like, to say like, is down at the base of like a tree trunk. So that's what I would predict, but I'd have to probably run it by some speakers and see, because there's probably some things we want to be able to do is like the bottom one, then this one, then this one, and so the third one up, and there's some different stuff like that that's going to be really good for us to know how to utilize. Yeah. And then there's other ways. Some of them are kind of read from top to bottom too, with the top being the first ones that were there sometimes. So it kind of depends on the kutia. But
yeah, this one, the Tz'áagu is on the bottom. That's where the Ḳáax'u found themselves. And then there's those two ravens touching, like that transfer of knowledge, like Nathan does, since he's seen that. And then a frog, and then the mountain where they ended up, or where they were after the flood. So that one's kind of like, it's not really read, it's more like just showing where they were after the flood.
Okay.
But I haven't seen any Ḳáax'u wear a beaver though. I don't know if that's.
Yeah, I was talking with Nathan about it, and he was wondering, and one of I think what he was telling me was like, the poll was done, and maybe Juan Tlane knows it, and they said, could you add more to the bottom? And so I was like, yeah, sure. So then he added to the bottom. So it was kind of a late addition. The Nech Aadé, they use a beaver. The Deishitan and the ḳáax'u come out of Angoon. It seems like they were kind of not Deishitan, but maybe Deishitan, then they became Deishitan. And then also the Gashyak Kagwantan used the Tz'áagu as well. So clan crests are always a little complicated.
Yeah. That one, I think it was because when after the flood, there was, before there was beavers there everywhere, and after the flood, the beavers ate themselves out of that whole area around Kix, or Helm Bay, and there was just nothing there, and all the beavers left or died, and that's where they ended up after, from some of the recordings I've been listening to.
Okay.
That's why it's on the bottom.
Juan Tlane.
I've got and I sent this to Yana 8. I sent In the Shadow of the Wrangle Master. And, the first master, ḳáax'u, was Kajistu the second. And then he talked about the Fort Wrangle Master who came after him, but he thought he knew Kajistu in the 1700s. And Kajistu, I think, to his credit, was, he did the Goths and the ones in Tla'aquan, and then a poll in Sheldon Jackson. But those polls that you're talking about there, if you guys want, I could send that handout to you so you could read it. It's so fascinating to talk for, them to look at those polls and the things that distinguish the old Wrangle Master, who his name never surfaces, but they think they got a picture of him, and his style was so distinct, around the eyes. And I go down to the carving shed and I go in there and look at those poles that are laying down. I go, and I can see it. And then I can see where some of the other poles are laying down too. And they talk about, they're just those distinct styles. And like Tao'at or Tao'at, he did that, bear up the mountain, that old kutia ʼatángi. And then that when you guys are talking about, they had hired, or they say at that time in the turn of the century, there was 2 other artists that were shipped in, and you can tell that their styles are different. And a couple of those poles that belonged to Kadashan was in front of their house, and those were brought in. Haida carvers came in and carved those. So it's just a really wonderful thing. I mean, it's hard reading because Steve's style is so, it's kind of difficult to read because he's trying to speak English and he's really smart. So you're like, speak English, Steve, holy. But it's really good. And I could send it to you, Mr. Carver from Huna over there, if you want it.
Yeah, then I'll put my email in the
Okay.
in the chat.
Oh, you go.
You could send it to all of us too, if you don't mind sharing. Just reply all to that one email.
Oh, yeah, I got it. It's right
Send me all the-
here. If I
You could drag it into the chat and we'll be able to download
can,
it.
it's right here. Okay, if you let me share. I can see it right there. Okay, can I?
Do you guys have a share button? I don't know if I set this up right.
All right, and then I'm just gonna go in there and open. Well, it's supposed to be looking like that. And you guys are gonna see the whole dastardly truth there.
How? I'm saying ut.
Okay, here.
Cut at the kai.
So, do you see that beautiful thing right there? Isn't that gorgeous? They made that to attract fish. It's his eyes. See how they are? They said that his carving, that all carvers today look at these carvings and they're there, and this one is the one-legged fisherman, and but the eyes, they say, and he has the little chin, and as you go, then they see this here. Oh, I think this one is a replica of that one, the way they wanted to do it. And then here he is here. There's a diving orca because they don't know what to call it. And there's a keat pole. And here's those ones there. This is here. They think that in the bombing of Wrangell, this one here got blown up. And that's a double-finned crest, double whale crest hat. That's the bear up the mountain. And Toya Sheikh the fifth, I think, is here. This is a really good article. Here's Yukaas, William Ucas, and they think this here is the old Wrangell master. And he's kind of putting on a show there, but his name never surfaces. And these poles here, those are just parts of poles. They took some of the poles out of here and they cut them into 3 pieces and put them in museums.
Was there at the Alaska State Museum? Those 2 on the bottom left there?
Yes, yes. Yeah, and this one here's the one you're talking about.
Yeah, that was the one. It was a recording Herb Bradley was talking about that whole pole, why the face was on the top and the frog, and then there.
Yeah, it's number 11, and Steve talks about it. I think, where the heck is number? There's figure 10 where he's talking about it, and maybe he talks in here on figure 11. Oh shucks, what the hey? Don't mind me. But I love these guys. I really love looking at them. I kind of talk to them because they're down in my office, and I can go back there, have all my stuff laying all over the place back there, and I don't put anything on top of them. And then I seen the guy that they hired has all the tables underneath the pole, and I'm like, I didn't say anything because I don't want to hit any poles or knock anything off of them. But you know, I'll say it. Okay, I'm trying to find your 11, but I can't see it. Can you guys see it? There's 12, so it's got to be on this page somewhere. The ḳáax'u pole right there. I'm going to move your face. Okay. Oh, no, you came right back. But I can send this to you. René, you can send it out.
Okay, good cheese.
Yeah. I don't know where it is, but right here, that young raven and beaver, Yukaas carved especially deeply into the whites of the eyes and the trigon shapes. But there's a story, and you know, they say a bunch of stories too about he was under the world or something. It's a story I've never heard, but it's pretty prolific story, but I don't know where they got that information from, but I read it and I'd never heard about it. So I don't know what that was. And
I'd love to hear some of those other old stories. My Akani Hus Kiksadi Kagan Hitach is from the Gagan hit. So I always, every time we draw anything and look at his old work, you know.
my grandkids are all ch'áagu. Yeah. Okay. And then they just go on to, and the, you know, the killer whale, and yeah, they talk a lot about, it's pretty good. I'm not too good at it right now because I have to really look at stuff in the beginning. I have a brain badly singed. So I have to be reading it. But I will send this to you guys. This is a very nice article.
Sheesh. Okay.
If you want to know where the reference to figure 11 was,
Yes.
found it.
Okay.
So go back to the bigger, the one really long totem pole.
That one? That's a long one.
No, keep going to the left. Let's see, it's on page, 81, I think, maybe.
Okay. Okay. Right there, figure 11.
Yeah, see where it says one photographic view of Fort Wrangell, right? Your arrow's on it.
Okay, read it.
Okay, one photographic view of Fort Wrangell's main village taken around 1895. Figure 11 shows the diving orca pole, much weathered and somewhat incomplete.
Oh, so this one is an 11, the ch'áagu pole. What's he talking about?
He says that's 11. Oh, when it was freshly painted and carved in 1895. Huh.
Okay. Well, anyway, this is very interesting. So I'll send it to you.
Okay. Sheesh.
Okay, I'm going to try to get out of here now. I'm not real sure how. Oh, I know how. Right here. Yeah.
Okay, Johan. Okay, so let's look at some atánk. We'qunach yaqutsuki hasuqidach. Achtawasuku kinachi tu. Aqaawe achtawasuku akayinigi. Qahain kananika daat. Wasa yuhas qawtla atkin. Hashagun. Tatlayna khaqa'a. Yahu awak aseokidat. Yatlikatas qa'a hanaqas wu'at. Joyach to a suku has do you ʼatángi ayaw to a achi kakinach ayaw to a tu. Ya do So I'm making a series of posters, and this is kind of a bit of a presentation showing what these posters are. So what I'd like us to do is everybody take a turn, somebody read this out loud, and then let's translate it and let's talk about what they told us. Who wants to do the first one?
I'll go.
Sheesh.
Tlingit akatish wuk aguk ya yek at ya Tlingit ani ḳáax'u zitiat ḥáax'u unegat.
Oh yeah, we'll just do the top part. Just do what's in this top box. So this is ḳáax'u. Let's go one line at a time. Keshkon akati sawuk. Dasawe dletkach inacha. Chakananik. Yisikuke dasawe chakananik.
The verb forget is in there, and it's in the form of a command.
It's in a prohibitive, yes.
Oh, prohibitive.
So this underlined K stuck at the end is what tells us it's a don't, the don't doer. Yep, so there's forgetting is in there, yep.
One is to be strong, right?
Well, it's in there, but I think Juan is more like may you or lest you. So yi du'aya Juan is probably from, the verb is probably gu'a or du'a, but that one's kind of frozen. It's hard to analyze. But I look at it as lest it be like you're just standing there or you're just sitting there. That's how I sort of see it. It's like, oh, Tlingit, like there'll be strong stuff. It's like, just stand it. That's Tlingit call for strength. Yeah, so how would we then interpret that? So chakananik is a command form for translate it.
So,
Don't forget.
Yes, don't you all forget it. So that's what the is doing in there. That's the it part. If we really get
Sometimes one is translated as please, but in this context, it's more like at this time. What do you think? Does that sound right?
I think it's more sort of like it's just it softens the command a little bit.
Oh yeah, that's it. That's it.
Like lest you never forget it is probably how I would interpret. But you know, I like the word interpret. Bessie likes us to use that because there's you can there's 4 or 5 different ways to translate this probably. But yeah, lest you don't forget it maybe. And the first time I used Juan with my first kid, something like "Achite Juan." She said, "I'm not a boot."
Or sock.
Ya at Tlingit ḳáax'u. Oh, let's do ya at. We'll just stop at that.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, this good thing, right? So basically you take a verb, you put this relational suffix on there. This is, we'd sometimes call it an attributive suffix. A little bit different than the possessive suffix. You put it on pretty much the exact same way, but it's always low. And then that turns a verb into basically an adjective. Or a dirty thing. A good thing. A bad thing. A sick thing. It's a pretty straightforward thing once you learn how to do it. Tlingit ḳáax'u at. Yeah, 6 more. Oh, go ahead.
Kuzati is like to be born, or it exists.
Yeah, so it exists in the imperfective, it's born in the perfective. Kuzati exists, Kuzati was born. So this thing that was born on the world. That probably should be low. I gotta fix that.
The verb to be saved, wunech, a thing that is saved or saves.
Yeah, and just knowing how he talked about this stuff, and on this world, it saved them. It allowed them to survive. And so the use of this verb is really interesting because we know it as recovered or healed. You could switch the classifier and that's to heal something. But the same verb, was it this class or yesterday's class we were talking about this? Did we talk about this one yet before? Did we talk about this on Monday, I think? Yes.
I think we talked about it on Monday.
Okay.
Briefly.
Did we already look at all of these on Monday?
No.
Okay.
We also went over these in yesterday's class.
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct. And so we've shown it to this group too. Okay. Yeah, so wunech could be, wunechiat would be like it could be a healing thing or it could be a saving thing. So on this earth, it saved them. Natu. Somebody's got to read it. Sheesh.
A kach. Wait, that's not a kach. Kunai shagao. Hayu ʼatángi. Kunach a kach. Kunai shagao. Helta sa ayach kuge. Hayu ʼatángi.
Sheesh. Okay. Akach konai shagao hayu ʼatángi. Kananik.
Fight for our language.
Fight for our language. Kanach akach konai shagao.
Shagao means loud.
Yeah, but when you put the k in front of it, it's fighting.
Oh, that's right. Thanks.
I have a friend who we like to tease each other a lot in Tlingit, and just out of nowhere, he sent me the text. He said, it was something like this. Ikahuyi wekakan ch'us atunach dutin. Ikahuyi atunach kakan ch'us dutin.
The sun shines through your coffee.
Yeah. So I respond, and it's just out of nowhere. So my response was, "Wush kunach tulkao." Let's fight. Okay. And then she told me a really fun story too, and I told this to the group yesterday. She said there was an older couple, and the lady was really having fun with her friends, and then they were supposed to go somewhere. So the husband kept popping his head in the room saying, "Are you ready yet? It's time to go. Let's go. Wrap it up. We got to go." So she was really having fun with her friends. And then she said, just hold on. I'm going to fight with my husband. I'll be right back. So.
Nothing is as big. Nothing is like as big as our language.
Yes.
Nothing measures up. Nothing measures up.
Nothing measure, and so yeah, there's different ways. That's how I interpret this: is nothing measures up to our language. And it was really neat because I played this clip for Nora when we were working on this film that I made about the Dow and Howers, and she just got so excited when she heard this. Natu.
Yo.
Goshat
Ah, conchish.
ch'áagu ya k'áax'u hede ya shunayi adi hakusti da yejineyi haha yu ʼatángi.
Sheesh. So the first part, ch'áagu. Do we know what that is doing?
It's as if.
It's as if. So whenever you want to speak in metaphors, boom, that's a really good way to start. It's as if. And you could take that, if without the ch, the uwa means it looks like it, right? So there's different ways you could use that. Like it resembles it. Like for example, the name of that flying squirrel is ḳáax'u, because it, in Tlingit, it's like, looks like a squirrel. And there's a type of shark called ch'áagu. It looks like a porpoise. And so, but when you say ch'áagu, it just puts it into, it opens the door. There's some metaphor coming usually. And so I was laughing with some friends, and because they were having and maybe we'll try this Sunday, maybe we'll get in trouble on it. It was a bad speech making contest in Tlingit. And so they said, ch'áagu, Alaska Airlines, ḳáax'u ʼatángi, ʼatángi tu'atachaya, ḥáax'u ʼatángi. It's as if Alaska Airlines lost my baggage, and because of your words, it's like they found my baggage again. So we were just having fun. But the ch'áagu, and this is a big piece of language here. This was a beautiful human being. This is one of her last words before she left us. So we know that she's setting up a metaphor here. Aadé yashunayel adi. We spot the verb. The singular form of the verb is usually shubagut. But then a lot of times when it switches.
So, okay. So walking ahead or leading?
Leading, right? So you could say, Kunachish hat shiyaguti. Thank you for leading me here. Like you led the way and I followed you. And so that's what, and then the plural form, it usually switches to an L classifier. And so they led us here, hot, or hus, hot, hus ha shusha'ati. They led us, or shusha'at, sorry, shusha'at. So it's a motion verb, so it's going to follow all the rules of motion verbs. So hot, shusha'at is what we should expect. Hot, shubukut. Aadé, shusha'at. Aadé, shuwagut. And then so ʻekahuen heyde yashudnayil adi. We gotta put it together now. What's ʻekahuen?
Flower.
All right. Heyde yashudnayil adi. You all are leading them here. You're leading them this way. And so this is where like it reveals like just the beauty of what's being put together here. It's like you guys are leading flowers over this direction. Working on our culture and our language. And the last one of the evening, and we'll do the others on Monday. And we got to come up with a prompt too. Somebody's got to read this for me. If you haven't read yet, now's a good time.
ʻāāxʻi ye kakwati ch'atlek kukāgastin Tlingit.
Sheesh. Āx'āgāq'eyeqwati. Ākananik. How do we enter?
My prayer will be.
My prayer will be, and my prayer will be this, right? Tlingit.
Forever. Is
Yeah.
it a cha or chu?
It's a ch'ah. I had written it as a ch'ah. So I made a particle size error that I'm going to have to fix. People out there singing the song. And I've just been trying to go, ch'ah, whenever everyone's going. I thought it was ch'tleich, and so that's how I wrote it, but it's ch'tleich. And then when I listened to him again, I was like, yeah, it's ch'ah. What about the ḳáax'u?
In the future will be.
That would be ye ḳáax'u.
Oh, okay.
But yes, that is a good attempt. But we also have this extra qa in there. When we double up on the qas, or there's a yin naqa or qaqa or anything like that, and then the stem is low, it's a pretty good guess to say that's a hortative. And the hortative is let it be that way. Let it happen.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Nachtu, like that's a hortative. And so here, and yeinqati or yeinaqati, yachnaqati, those are hortatives, right? And they're very powerful conceptually in Tlingit. And another neat thing is you could take basically a hortative, you put a T on the end. In this case, it would be a YIT because it's open, so it has to, you got to close it first. But if you put that T on the end, it becomes what we call, I think it's called purposive, which is just, you don't have to worry about what the name is, but that means did the first verb in order to do the second verb, right? So for example, you'd say, hatchakut shtuqashtuwut, shtuqashtuwut. There it is. I came here to study. So that's a really fun one. So it's like, did the first verb so the second verb could happen. And so it's the same thing, like, daat yejitudnei ḥáax'u ʼatángi. We're working on our language so it will last forever.
So that's not the same thing as the conditional?
No, so the conditional is like, more like, when this thing happens, this other thing happens. So very direct, like cause and effect, like, and it's pretty much like, it would be like, whenever when I leave my house, this thing happens or something like that. But this is more like, did this thing so the other thing could happen.
Okay.
So that it's logically, it just ties it together a little bit differently.
Uh-huh.
And then you'll see it in some of the stories. It's not used as often as some of the other modes, but it's a good one to know how to use. It would be interesting to say, like, I put my shoes on so we could go, right? So it should be achtichi achust chutiyek adach nachtu atit.
I bought groceries so I could cook.
Mm-hmm. Well, hun, I guess. Ch'áagu hun dakahiti dach. Oh, let's see. It should be qatusiyit. Qatusiyit. Oh, I better look it up. Let's see how close I was. Oh, there's proof. Like, I was talking about this thing today. There it is. It's ach. So then to use this mode, so we'll look up cook and we're gonna cook it, or so I could cook, just so I could cook, right? So it kind of depends. I bought groceries so I could cook. That one's gonna be a at. But you'd say, I killed this thing so I could cook it, or I bought this thing so I could cook it. That's when we know whether to use the transitive version or not, like with the object. So we go down and we see ḳáax'u. So this is a 0, so we should expect ḳáax'u. I bet you it's under here. Yeah, ḳáax'u. So in that case, hun dakahiti owa wa kun ch'áagu. Atqatusa'iyit. That's a good one. I was talking to my kids, and the quarantine, we was bugging them to put their, like, get out of your pajamas already. And sometimes I'm just like, does it matter? I don't know. But I'll say, idna atiyina'u. That's what I wanted to say. For whatever reason, I said, idda itna'u. I was like, that is absolutely wrong. What did I accidentally say? The first one, idna atiyina'u. Second one, idda itna'u.
Put on your clothes is the first one.
Mm-hmm.
It is like, could it be behind you or?
Daat. Daat. Isakuke. Daat.
Tack.
Daat. Tsuka.
Daat.
Is it body, your body parts
Yeah.
or something?
Yeah. So it's like, buy your body. It doesn't make any sense. It was like a total mistake. I was like, huh. Wow.
Did they catch you?
I don't even think they were listening to me.
They probably knew what you wanted anyway.
Yeah. Well, sometimes they do. Because the other thing, I would mix up hitayina and hitshantu all the time. I'd say hitshantu deinaku. And she'd say, I am upstairs. Hitayina deinaku. She's like, fine.
Kids are so awesome.
Okay, anybody got any questions or anything? Like, we'll start wrapping it up.
I have a
Oh, Dasa?
Wait, when does class end? Right now?
Technically it ends at 7.
Okay. I can save it for later.
Yeah. But I did say, like, if people want to keep going, we can, but I don't want to put pressure on people to keep going.
That's the prompt.
Yeah, what's the prompt going to be for Monday? We got to have a language activity, so we do the first hour all in Tlingit. It could be a topic, and we could have a couple of them. We could do this one again, but we could pick a specific, we could do plants maybe. That might be a little harder. Could you come up with 5 sentences about a tikshashtin? I mean, maybe. What's that?
About an animal in the water.
Yeah, okay. Let's do the same thing, but it's got to be a water animal this time. Only water animals, just which it's not always fair for our inland folks, but you got some lake things, some fishies. And maybe one more, one kind of, let's talk about, you guys want to talk about the flood? That might be kind of fun.
That'd be cool.
Okay. Dasa?
I had one question, actually, because you were posting about earlier on about daat and forming those words together, and I just recently learned about kisan being a conjunction of kasa and on.
It's Qaisa.
Huh?
Qaisa on.
Oh, okay. So it's just kasa or kesa. Does that beautiful alone?
Yes. But that's the verb root, like shaqshaqi. Because you could say kashaqiyat, it's a beautiful, like the land or something.
Oh.
But then it's just sort of pulling the root right off of the verb. So sometimes you'll see that, like Aadé, it comes from a. So the other thing is sometimes the vowel will change. It's pretty common for the EI, the A sound to switch to an actual, the letter A, right? So ch'áagu becomes ch'áagu if it gets in a compound.
Oh, goodness, sheesh.
Ah.
I thought the word was really beautiful. I thought that was really cool. It means beautiful town. Anyway.
Yeah, all the Keigani Haida villages and the Tsimshian Alaskan village had Tlingit names because they used to be Tlingit land, but through trade and migrations, so there's a airline company called Tukwon Air. I don't know if they're still flying, but Tukwon, the winter village. So that's where that comes from. Haukan, Sinquan, Kasan, those all came from. They were Tlingit names, right? Okay, so Dasa?
One of these classes could the prompt be like talking about little people or giants or something everybody never really talked about because now nobody's talking about them.
Okay, so let's do Monday, we'll do water things and the flood. And let's do Wednesday, giants, tiny things, and other monsters. So we'll have a monstrous Wednesday.
Monster bash.
Yeah. And that means we're probably going to get into some scary stories. So I don't want to scare anybody, but sometimes it's kind of fun.
So do we try and guess what giant or tiny thing we're talking about? Could it be only Tlingit ch'áax'u type of a thing?
Why don't we try this? Monday, we'll do the guessing game again. Then anything that you want to talk, and then we'll just shift. Then we'll start a topic talking about the flood, the Great Flood. Wednesday, let's try to come up with short narratives about these monsters or tiny people or other things. Does that sound workable to the gang? Oh yeah, and then I could put together some stuff over the weekend to share on Monday as well for anti-discrimination, anti-racism language.
You're freezing.
Oh.
It's probably brilliant, but we can't hear you.
Okay, maybe. Did you catch all that?
None of it. None of it.
I should have just come on and say, okay, so that's what I expect, and then I'll just like sign. So yeah, it froze. So I can't remember what I was talking about. Oh, Monday, guessing game with water animals and the Great Flood. And it's just a topic. We'll just talk about it. Wednesday, we'll come in right with stories and questions and thoughts about the unknown things, qunait, all of the qunaits, a bunch of them. So this is your chance to go find, and even if you're not feeling comfortable with just putting the language together yourself, go find something and read it to us. That's fine. And then over the weekend, I'll put together some anti-racism and anti-discrimination type of phrases, and we'll look at those on Monday. Sometimes I just want to like just stop moving so you think I'm frozen too. So you just mess around.
So I'm not getting the flood idea.
Okay, so there was a great flood, and there's a bunch of stories that talk about this flood, and this is when all the clans started migrating and stuff. And so there's this place, and we're kind of that one totem pole from Wrangell when they talk about Tashkanach. There were some clans that went and lived up on that mountain when the flood happened. Then there were other clans that went kind of inland. And so when we say the flood, like that's what it's talking about, is that time when the water rose up to the mountaintops in what is now Tlingit Dani, and a bunch of Tlingits went inland. And so we'll probably be talking about migrations and clans and and stuff like that. I think it's fun to do, but if you're not up to, you know, just think about, but there's not even a lot of good like printed source material that really talks about that. So
gotta make some, huh?
yeah, we do, but it's a sensitive thing, but I do think it needs to be sort of, I think that should be one of the next series of books, is just this clan histories, because too much of it is getting forgotten. I think it was a lot more commonly known at one point, and so
I think it's a lot less sensitive now because there's so few people that know any of that. I mean,
right. So we'll try it, and if, you know, we'll just see how it goes on Monday. Then Wednesday it's good night, and then we'll just see. And then think about what kinds of things you would like to study as well. So we'll probably do some verb stuff next week. I know in the MOOC we started doing like how to do the perfective, how to do the future. And I know I've gone over that with some of you, but that's a good revisit to think about how to start moving into some of these other verb modes as well. Dasa? Juan Klein?
Tonight, you had 12 students last night in MOOC.
Oh yeah, and so I'm probably gonna just reach out to them and just let them know that they can just sit in with us if anybody wants to. So I'm probably just gonna have an open invite to folks. I think you guys will still be leading the way, but I think that was such a good thing that we got to figure out how to keep it going. And so there's some talks at Tlingit Haida about keeping the MOOC going on maybe Friday evenings and Sunday, but we'll see. And then the other thing is, probably by next week, I should have it figured out, like just a regular Zoom link for whoever wants to get together, study, talk, do whatever. So that's the thing, because I think I can only host one meeting at a time. I don't know what's going on right now with the Outer Coast. I think the link is probably still there. I think people could probably still go. Some people did write to me, like whether it's still going on or not. So we might just invite some folks to come hang out with us. And most of them will probably just sit and listen. But I think
I think you can create a bunch of different meetings on your account.
Once it merges with my UA account, maybe. But with my current Zoom account, I can only technically host one meeting at a time.
Well, I can host more. I signed up through UAS.
Well, I'm waiting for, well, yeah, I guess that's the other thing, is anybody could create the room. So I'm trying to get IT to just create some rooms for me, so that until this thing gets figured out. But I should be able to figure it out by the end of the week. So, and then, yeah, I'll just be Zoom room.
Maybe I will ask a random question real quick. I heard, my friend told me of this thing called a scratching rock. Has anyone heard of a scratching rock? It's like,
scratch itself on a rock the other day.
but he was saying it used to be ch'áagu to scratch yourself with your fingernails. So everyone used to have a rock that they would scratch themselves with. And he said his grandma told him that, and he forgot what the name was, so I was wondering if anyone's heard of that. Maybe
Yeah,
not.
that's the first I've heard of it. It doesn't mean it's not true.
I think it's true. I was wondering what the name was.
There is one. I have a jade one that I got from this lady that was telling us that you could do this, blah, blah, certain ways. And then I saw somewhere that the Tlingit people did it. The Anyedi did it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the Anyedi were like, those are the high class people. So there might have been certain things, I'm sure, that they had. I know they took a ch'áagu at one point, and it was a stick.
Oh.
Oh, okay. Sheesh. And yeah, so bring your language questions here as well, like projects you're working on, things that you want to figure out, and let's try and collaborate and try and figure those things out. So let me, as we're kind of winding it down, no, I'll ask you on Monday. I won't quiz you now, but remind me to ask you about the thing I was going to ask you about now.
I just wanted to make sure because I signed in at 5:30. Is that the starting time? I thought that's what it said. I just want to make sure I wasn't late. 5:30. Okay.
Some people might sign it because it's sort of set up where anybody can just join when they want. So if you come in at 5:30 and people are talking, it's just they got there a little early and are just chatting. Okay. Anything else? Okay. Goodness cheese, Shuhan. Mukecha.
Cheers, Yagan.
Goodness, cheese.
Okay.
Cheese.